Good morning. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too, as I continue my Dharma rants and my Dharma tributaries, the things that have fed into my understanding of yoga and spirituality as a life path. My talk today is called No Cosmos, No Apple Pie, which means you have to have the whole universe to have something as simple as an apple pie. Because once you have a planet that can produce apples and produce people to know which food is good to eat and which food is poisonous, and how to mill grain and how to invent fire and how to transform those ingredients into something that's tasty. But you can't have that unless you have a planet that makes those things, and you can't have a planet that makes those things unless you have a solar system that makes those planets, and you can't have that solar system that makes those planets unless you have basically the whole universe. So already we're off into some kind of astronomical and mystical understanding of having the whole thing in order to have something very, very simple and commonplace. I always like to say that when people come to class, the purpose of the teacher is in some way to comfort those who are afflicted and afflict those who are comfortable. And just like the Wizard of Oz, sometimes you can't help fix anybody's brokenness, but you can bless their brokenness. Just as the Tin Man, the Cowardly Lion, and the Scarecrow needed to have their potential affirmed, because one seemed to lack brains, one seemed to lack courage, one seemed to lack heart, three important attributes. And that's all that the wizard did. He recognized something that already existed in them, just as the teacher is supposed to recognize the light, or the Atman, that is within you. It's true that we're living in the terminal moraine of all the old mythologies, the collapse of the sacred canopy that used to guide us all and cover us all. But as I've learned, God doesn't buy from retailers, only from wholesalers. And once the prayer goes through the roof of the temple or the mosque or the synagogue, you can't tell the denomination anymore. So you might as well get into that broadest state of mind that's possible and hook up into the most universal, invisible, and abstract principles that spirituality represents. And once you start this path, one of the things my teacher used to say is, you yourself don't know what you're capable of. And that's why you have to hold your feet to the fire and find out what is it you got within you, because it will be tested. And as Yogi Bhajan, my teacher, used to say, you have to live to the change before the change happens. So get on the path. And sometimes we call it Kaya Sadhana, or Kaya Sampat, the work of the body, or the treasure of the body, because most people are untested, and therefore the capital that they have within themselves is not brought forth. Either it's not the right technique, or because of their own fear about what would happen. That's one of my other favorite quotes. Death says, play it safe. Life says, take a risk. So part of our path is purification, clearing the mud off whatever it is that would prevent the magnet from attracting that needle within us, and learning how to get centered so you don't wobble when you walk. And then even from your center, to realize that your eccentricity might be the most valuable part of yourself. Yeah? Your eccentricity might be more important than your centricity. So don't fear to really let your freak flag fly. That's a nice alliteration. Freak flag fly. And show yourself. And find your way of putting yourself in an environment where you thrive. Like we say, the willow tree planted in the desert, very, very tough to self-actualize. Willow tree planted by the river, pretty good chance that it's going to find the nourishment it needs to unfold from within and become itself. But this is a matter of you got to do it. No one's going to knock on your door and make you do it. It's like going into a house. It's wired for electricity right from the beginning, but you got to call the main company and say, turn it on. Otherwise, you don't get any. So there's a component of you saying, yeah, I'm in. I'm along for the ride. And then if you do that through yoga or any other system that you work with, you'll be given the tools, you'll be given the know-how, you'll be given the knowledge, the empowerment, the inspiration, and then your aspiration, how you're going to take it forward. So please remember that spirituality is the bouquet of natural life, not a supernatural grace added unto it. Enjoy every day that you're alive and always be thankful and grateful for every little thing that happens in your life.